Today I just want to talk a little bit about where we are on Europe and some of the challenges ahead, but also some of the opportunities ahead. The fact is, there isn't any doubt that Europe has been a remarkable success. The European Union has got a whole tally of achievements which it can lay claim to. But we do have some problems. Despite its success, it's actually declining in popularity. Something about roughly 50% of Europe's citizens think that their country's membership of the EU is a good thing, and that is down from 75% 20 years ago. Now, for us and for other colleagues in our sister parties across Europe, we have to ask the question why. I think it's partly because the EU's mission is no longer as clear as it once was. And perhaps maybe over the past few years, it's spent too much time tinkering with the institutional arrangements and not enough addressing the real policy issues that affects voters directly. The case for European cooperation needs to be built around future challenges, not past successes. It's about addressing international threats rather than tackling internal tensions. Because the fact is, risks have gone global. There is no national solution to the credit crunch, energy insecurity, climate change, or terrorism. And all too often, global governance is far too weak. But you know, acting at 27 and maybe more in the future, the European Union can be a real catalyst for global change. We have the largest single market in the world with a population of 500 million. So we've got a huge opportunity there. Looking back at the last few weeks, if we hadn't had the European Union, we would have wanted to invent it. I'm really proud, as I hope you are too, to see our Prime Minister leading the European and international debate about how we deal with the economic crisis. We're showing that in hard times, the British people need a Labour government on their side, prepared to do whatever is necessary to steer the country through. And it's interesting as well about the impact of the credit crunch on other parties in the UK. Just as the credit crunch has exposed the ludicrous position of the Scottish Nationalist Party in Scotland, it's raised the question in Scots' minds about would Scotland really prefer to be on their own like Iceland, or part of a strong UK at the centre of formulating a coordinated response. Now, our policy, the Labour policy, of being at the centre of Europe, fighting for the interests of Britain's hard-working families, has been shown more than ever in recent times to be absolutely right. Now, this is something Tory Eurosceptics and UKIP alike just can't get away from. How would a Tory party, out of the European People's Party and without allies in their attempt to renegotiate the basis of our EU membership, wield any influence in future European negotiations? That said, whilst the British people love Europe, making 53 million visits every year, that's a rise of 50% since 1998, with something like 2.2 million Brits owning properties overseas, the vast majority in Europe, and 3 million jobs in the UK linked directly and indirectly to exports of goods and services to the EU, that's 10% of the total workforce. Many Brits still feel sceptical or uninformed about European Union institutions. This doesn't mean that Britain is anti-Europe, because actually no one loves institutions. Not many people love their governments or parliaments. Even significant national organisations like the BBC come under fierce criticism if the public think they've lost touch with their priorities or are wasting public money. It doesn't mean people want to get rid of them. What the British people do expect is for their institutions to deliver for them, people across Europe, not just Britain, dealing with the issues that are important to them. And what that means is not dealing with the debates that we are in this country and across Europe are fed up with about institutions and job titles. Debates on voting weights are boring. Words like subsidiarity and acquis turn people off. The EU sometimes seems like a project that is a constant work in progress, and people often then will mistrust where it will all end. And of course they're concerned that their national ties and identity are being eroded. So for our aim for these European elections is not to make people love the EU, but to help them see how it affects their lives, and that having Labour MEPs fighting for fair opportunities, fair chances and a fair say for the British people in Europe is absolutely vital. We need to stop this polarised debate of either loving everything Europe does or hating everything it does. Focus on the practical: immigration, crime, energy and climate change. The latter being firmly tied to people's concern about the security of energy supply and rising prices. The crucial issue for us is to show a relevance to the day-to-day problems of our families and our friends. Now, I know you've talked about energy earlier. Saving the planet must be linked to saving energy and cutting bills. We should never forget that however fast the Arctic ice is melting, the environment only ranks as 7th or 8th in the list of popular concerns. Crime and immigration are important to 3 times as many people. The UK border force should be shown to help reduce organised crime and smuggling. We should also be unafraid to show a little bit of national pride. Labour is leading Europe on answers to the credit crunch. Labour has the strongest employment in Europe, in good and bad times. Labour has record numbers of police and one of the best records in reducing crime in Europe. So, in summary, our message must be simple. No Eurobabble. We've got to show relevance. We don't need to make everyone love the EU. The key is to ask not what is best for Europe, but what do people want from government, and what part of that is Europe best placed to deliver. And we must show that where Europe faces big challenges, Labour is a leading voice and we know how to get things done. Thank you.